Photographers are like grasshoppers. They hide from you. They make sounds, and you wish you knew where they were coming from so you could arrest them. They can jump really high. Doesn't mean I'm not going to help 10 of them if they ask me for help. I will help.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
Have you considered the Sigma 14 to 24mm DGGN for Sony A7S III for vlogging? Yes, it's definitely heavy, but just saying 2.8 Tonys. 3D pop might be yours. Oh, it won't be. I have looked at that lens and I have debated buying it in the past until I realized that Sigma had no soul and they make their lenses out of meat. Just leftover chicken meat. It's a company that I don't feel proud of being near. That lens is so heavy and expensive. For a third-party lens, it's like $1,500 or something. It's ridiculous. And I wish it was a 15 to 24 Tony 2 Zeiss lens. Then I might be looking in the ballpark with Image Stabe optical in its origins. Sigma is just such a boring copy, cut, paste company that does nothing new or innovative. The same trio 16mm of 1.4s from 1941. No more. Help. Fuji 50 to 140 with 2x teleconverter or 100 to 400 for documentary and wildlife videos for some. No, we're not reading that. 2x tele is shit. Don't even look at that. Like if you're ever debating, this lens is almost as good as the long one with the 2x telecon. No, the 1.4, you're somewhat respectable. Even then, no. Like the Sony G Master with 1.4x teleconverter, still not as good as just the 200 to 600. In every case, the longer lens will always look better at the long end. But you have some versatility, but who wants to mess with a teleconverter in the field? That's two caps on both sides. You're like, where do I? You'll drop something. So no, 100 to 400 much better. And Fuji sucks. Why are you even looking at that? I don't understand why you want 16:9 sensor. That's only good for photos, not video. That's the opposite of the truth. What? The closer to square sensor, the better your stabilization is? Who are you? Just imagine what happens when the camera rotates or tilts. The 1:1 has the least amount of cropping. 16:9 has too much cropping to stabilize, which means 16. Okay, you're in an insane asylum writing this with your hands back, you're writing with your mouth. The 4x3 sensor is the best compromise. Please no 16:9 sensors. I need my stabilization. The only purpose of 16:9 is photos. That makes no sense. They're always photos are like 4x3. Who is this? How did he get out of the building? Oh boy. All I want is 240 frames per second, super stabilization, 4K, phase detect. 4.3 sensor is the answer. If that's what I want too, so if that's the answer, I will follow you off a cliff, but I doubt it. Here's the deal. I just want a sensor that doesn't lie to me. Right now, okay, boom. This is the sensor of most cameras. It's not 16:9, it's weird. And then to get a normal wide angle 16:9, we gotta crop into it. I'm tired of this being the sensor in my camera and then this being my video of that sensor. Oh, we're full frame. Are we? We were at some point, no longer. Whereas my sensor is like this. And then if you want a stabe, oh no, 10% crop. Little active stabe like Sony does it. What's your problem? It has no bearing in reality, your crops. We just crop it then. It's still less of a crop than your square thing that I have to chop out a 16:9. We're still cropping on the sides of that. You freak. Look at the Canon C700 or 500, one of the full frame cinema cams. Look at that sensor. A little wide, is it? A little 16:9, are they? Yeah, that's the truth that we need. You crop your ass off. The real thing that just blasts my mind into another universe is all lenses produce a lens circle. So like what the hell? You got this square sensor and then a lens circle, and then from within that we crop a 16:9. Every full frame sensor is less than a half an inch. in bed. So I have devised a simple solution. All lenses from here forth should be square or rectangular in their varieties. And projecting a 16 by 9 rectangle onto my 16 by 9 sensor, maybe a little smaller so we can crop for this freak, Bonarici. I'll Bonarici your mom tonight. Where does everyone sell their gear? I get mixed results on Facebook, and eBay is saying I might get charged a seller tax. Never sell anything on eBay. That's the dumbest. Not only do they take a cut, but there's a chance that the guy who bought your thing is just going to say, he didn't actually send it. Look, here's the empty box. I didn't film myself opening it, but there's nothing in here. What the hell? I have the camera. You might get ripped off, and they're like, oh, you have to refund him and give him a new camera, and you end up losing $70,000. Just go to your local classifieds, whatever that is. I do Kijiji, there's Craigslist. Facebook probably works. I bought this lens on Facebook Marketplace. Fantastic. Wherever you can get a system where there's ratings and you can trust somebody, 75 five-star reviews, I'm going to buy that guy's thing. I want to film bird footage in HD 240 frames per second. Cannot edit 4K on current PC. Also, HD looks magical. So what would be better? XS10 or XT4 with either 70-300 or 100-400. The only thing you're really getting with an XT4 is better battery life and 10-bit, which, judging by your PC, you can't even decode a 10-bit file if you threw it in a blender of file blending technology. I'll leave. For me, I would do XT4 just for the battery life and the 10-bit. And when it comes to the lens, you could get by with the 70-300. It's so much lighter and it's just enough reach. 450-ish mils. I think with the crop, it's actually quite decent. It's something like 580 mils in 240 frames per second. I forget what the 4K 60 crop is. Something like 18%, so it's slightly less than that. That's a decent range. You could get by with that. Very light system. Either XS10 or XT4, you probably won't even see the difference. Decent little setup there. I wouldn't use it. Not on my dead body's watch. iPhone is your camera for vlogging. Don't curse. It's not. I wish it was. But, do I really? I'm a PC man, and it's a different system. It's never the same. Like, my Huawei, I plug it in, I get my files off. With Apple, I had to, do different things. I plug it in, it's like, I can't drag how do I get the file? It's like a network of disasters. And, to top it off, they're over-sharpened footage. Disgusting. They do not listen to their consumer. Stop over sharpening the footage. Let me take control. Where's the log? Stop giving me the cinematic blur. Oh, this is so cinematic. It's not. Your wide angle lens sucks. You're not doing anything with slow-mo. 240p for the last 7 years. We're above and beyond. I'm already at 7,000 waiting for something better. What are you doing? You have nothing. Only phone right now that looks even mildly interesting is the Xiaomi 13 Pro with its 1-inch sensor, but I don't see a lot of footage of it from people. Whenever they review it for vlogging, it's like, oh, now we're on the front-facing cam. That's not the camera I would use. Flip it around, asshole. But whatever. No one's doing the slow-mo. Doesn't have good slow-mo. It's still like 19-20 frames per second. That's pretty good. That's pretty damn good. But what does it look like? Is that interpolated? Is there a motion trigger? There's a lot of unanswereds on that. So, yeah, That or the Huawei P60 Pro, maybe they do something. I doubt it. There's nothing. Could you describe your desk sound system? Source, DAC, amp. I have none of those things. What are those? I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Speakers. I have an Audient ID14 to plug in my speakers and microphones. It kind of sucks. Sometimes, like, it has 2 XLR inputs, but the one doesn't always work. There it is in the back there. Stupid Audient thing. It's a sucky thing. It's supposed to have really good preamps, but sometimes it hisses at me. Bullshit. And then these speakers are just the JBL 305s Mark II. Oh, yes, they are. My little keyboard there. Boom. And the microphone I use, the Sennheiser E935. Fantastic. Dynamic mic. For the next Q&A, thoughts on Samsung NX1 or NX500? They were our only hope for the future. They were doing it. They were right there leading the industry with the best image you've ever seen, decent phase detect autofocus, a big body. They weren't scared of being fat. And they had the processing power, oversampled 6K. That thing still stands up. Are you seeing this? I remember when I gave that camera away, I made a last little clip in here. I was like, hot damn, that is beautiful. I will save this and it will destroy anything next to me ever. And it has. And it's beautiful. And why did they stop? They could have been the ones to lead us to the promised land. They would have been ahead of Sony by far. It would have been Samsung, Sony, Canon, Nikon, Fuji. Panasonic above Fuji, Fuji, Olympus. And then OM System. They were our only hope, and they're dead. They had unique lenses too, the 16 to 50, 22 to 2.8. That thing was good. It was good. They're the best. The NX500 didn't have a mic jack. I almost bought it instead of the Canon G7X. I should have. I didn't know what I could have had. Oh boy, those would have been the days. But they're not. They're not the days. There's no days. So in 2023 for vlogging on Micro Four Thirds, would you go EM1 or GH5 II? Why that one? What kind of loser? Oh man, I'd go GoPro 11 or the Huawei P40 Pro, of course. I'd probably lean EM1 just because it's lighter, phase detect, but it would bore me with the slow-mo. GH5 II, who does that? Nobody. Nobody. GH6, but it's a bit heavy, and then there's no fun lens. The 9mm's too wide, too wavy. I don't want people waving to me. GH5 II is the superior camera, but you have to tap to lock focus. It's still very heavy. I don't know, man. These are irrelevant systems here. Completely irrelevant. Was this sent to me in 1991? Yep, it was. All right, last question. What's the closest camera we have to the perfect camera these days? It's the Sony a7S III. It's the only camera in the last 15 years to innovate something. 4K 120p doing it, just boom. And it's still sharper than most others. And then HD 240, no one was doing that. We got them both with autofocus. It's perfect. New active stab. Wow, low light. Forget about it if you're super high. Darkness, 80,000 ISO, no problem. Full frame. The 20mm 1.8, boom. That's your camera, but nobody's gonna beat that. Nobody. It's all downhill from here. It's not the Samsung S3. I'm new to cameras, documentary type film, videos, YouTube, vlog. What camera do you recommend? I don't care about your life. Thinking ZV-1, yeah, do that. Just leave me alone. It's good enough. The ZV-1, I could get by. I've wanted it. If it had a bigger battery and just a nicer lens, a wider lens, I would totally be wanting that. But what's Sony gonna do for us? The full frame ZV-E10 6? That's gonna suck. It's gonna be again. Just watch it happen. No stabilization whatsoever. Look at us for vloggers. Again, they're doing it again. I can't. I'm done. Thank you so much. You have been helped. Red light on that thing. That's dangerous. That scares me every time. One day it's just going to shut off. I joked. I'll leave. Subscribe for more videos on Saturday.